Well, hey everybody, Mr. Mack here. You know what? A couple hours have gone by. Instead of waiting, I have to read chapter 28. And you never know, I might have to go right through, chapter 29 and go right on through to chapter 30 because I just can't. I got to know what's up. And the next chapter, chapter 28, is Chase. I need to know what's going on in his head. I need to know what's happening. You know, Chase is such a good young man. Even though he was terrible, he was the worst of the rats, the alpha, the mega, the omega, the beta, and the omega. Rats, worse than Aaron and Bear, and I don't know how anybody could get any worse than them, but Chase was. So he had layers of just awfulness on him that were shed away when he had his accident. When he came back, he came back as himself, as who he truly is, unafraid to be himself. And I think that's why a lot of bullies and a lot of people act the way they do, because they're afraid to be who they want to be. So they put on a persona. They try to be something else. They try to be tough, or they try to be whatever. And it's just not. It's just an ugly mess. But I feel really bad for Mr. Sloven, and something I have to say. I keep saying Sloven, and it's Salway. When I'm reading, it's Salway because it's right there. But I keep calling him Mr. Sloven. I don't know why, but you know, anyone who has Mr. Mack, whether it was this year or 20 years ago, you know, every now and again words kind of bend, and it isn't Mr. Sloven, it's Mr. Salway. I feel so bad for Mr. Salway because he has his medal, but he's also very sad that of all people it was Chase. He's really come to like Chase. The cool thing about Mr. Salway is he's in his 80s to late 80s. The man has experience, and even though he might have been disappointed, even though he might have been sad, that Chase, I think, someone of that age and who's been through what he's been through, has a wisdom, has an understanding of people and how mistakes can be made by even the best of us, you know. So anyway, we're going to get into this. Chase Ambrose, chapter 29. Ooh. There are worse things than falling off a roof. Remember, we're in Chase's head, in his perspective, his point of view. Being arrested, for example. Being known all over town as the guy who was low enough to rob an old war hero of the medal given to him by the President of the United States. The part that really hurts is what Mr. Salway must think of me now. I stole from the person I respect more than anybody I ever met. Talk about fate. I was already guilty of the theft before I even started admiring the guy. And I'm absolutely sure he'll never speak to me again. Why should he? I wish I could never speak to me again. Well, time's gone by. You know, the cops came. Chase has been arrested, evidently. But that's bad enough. What hurts him the most is how he hurt Mr. Salway. Now, we don't know. We haven't heard from Mr. Salway yet, but you can imagine, as Chase is imagining, why would he ever want to talk to me again? I'm the one who robbed him. But you have to remember, you know, people can be forgiving. People can be understanding. While we wait for my hearing in juvenile court, so some time has gone on. Mom keeps me out of school. I like it better that way. I don't have to face everybody and find out how much they despise me. And of course, when he says everybody, he's Mr. Salway, Shoshana, Joel, Brendan. Probably Kimberly too. But you know. Yeah, sure. They always despise me, but now they've got a double reason to. Brendan and Shoshana have even called my house, but Mom won't let me talk to anyone. That's on the advice of our lawyer, but it's just fine with me. I can only imagine what Shoshana has to say to me, and I don't want to hear it. Anyway, it can't be worse than the things I'm saying to myself. So Chase is really down on himself. He is pounding himself in the head. He's hurt by this. And you know, back in chapter 28, when he said to Mr. Saway, when Mr. Saway said, were those two goons in on it, meaning Aaron and Bear, he said nope. And he was right. He didn't give excuses. He didn't say to Mr. Saway, well, I only did it because I was, I would never do it now, but I did it before the accident, and yes, they helped. Chase took it all. Chase took it. Chase did take it. He owned up to it. That's someone with excellent character, with great heart, great conviction, courage. Absolutely. Anyway, he's harder on himself than I have a feeling everyone else is. I have a feeling Shoshana has called the house and Brendan's called the house not to ream him out. I think they just want to talk to him. Aaron and Bear tried to call too, probably to thank me for covering for them. Hey, I stole the medal, but those guys have to be considered at least accomplices because of our three-way split agreement. To be honest, I'm not even that mad at them anymore. I was just as bad as they are, the ringleader of the whole sick trio. They've changed all that. I'm the one who's different. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. They haven't changed at all. Aaron and Bear haven't changed one iota. It is I who changed, Chase says. At least I hope I'm different. We know he is. Besides, I won't have to deal with them anymore after the hearing. I'll probably wind up in juvie. Juvie's a shorter nickname for, a juvenile detention center, a kid jail. Even when I get out, chances are their parents won't let them associate with me anyway. I'm a delinquent, a bad influence on them. For all I know, that might actually be the truth. Maybe Aaron and Bear were a couple of angels before they met me. Maybe I'm the one that turned them bad. Juvie. There's a really high probability I'm going to end up there. The judge is the same one who sentenced Aaron and Bear and me to community service, so I can't even say this is my first offense. As far as pleading not guilty, it's far too late for that. Everybody knows I did it. My mom forgives me, but that doesn't mean much. If you can't expect mercy from your own mother, you might as well throw in the towel. Johnny's come back from college to stand with me at the hearing, which means I'm messing up his life too. The only other people I ever see are Dad and his family. Go figure. My stepmom, Corinne, turns out to be my biggest fan at a time when I'm toe jammed to the rest of the world. So Corinne actually thinks the world of Chase now. Not that Mom isn't supportive, but she's so scared of what's going to happen to me that her nervousness is making everybody nuts. Corinne's different. First, I'm not really her kid. And second, she's not the one who might be going to juvie. So she can be a little less emotional about all this. I have to believe that the judge will be able to see the kind of person you are. I guess I was pretty rotten to you and Helene, I say. Before. I don't remember it, but I sure am sorry. Never mind that, she replies. Let's focus on how things are now. Helene is only 4, so the hundreds... Forgive me. Mr. Mack does that all the time. Flip over my tongue. Helene is only 4, so she understands nothing about my problems. Actually, the only time I feel really relaxed these days is when I'm sitting on the floor with her playing Barbies or something the old Chase would never have been caught doing. I'm pushing Malibu Barbie's beach cruiser, giving Ken a ride to the luau, when I notice Dad filming me on his phone. I thought playing with a 4-year-old interferes with your focus on important things like football, I tell him. Are you kidding, champ? He exclaims. We can show this at your trial. It's a hearing, Dad. Whatever. It'll prove to the judge that what a great big brother you are, and that will get you back on the football field. God, this father's an idiot. The only thing he's concerned with is his son getting back on the football field. He doesn't care that his son stole something. He doesn't care that his son is going to court. He's trying to get his son off. It's like the doctor thing. Chase with this thing. Dr. Cooperman knew Chase could have bad things happen if he's on the field playing and gets hit. The doctor that Chase's father spent all that money to sign the form saying he was okay, he just wanted the money. I sigh. I guess you think I'm a pretty big moron for returning that medal, huh? He actually seems to mull over it. Well, I'd be lying if I didn't say it would have been a lot smarter to just slip it under the Mr. Sawway's door. Just kind of sneak it back. Yeah, tell me about it, I say. But you did the right thing, he adds. That medal's worthless to you. You didn't earn it. Not like your state championship, let's say. Its only value is to Mr. Sawway. I don't know how valuable it is to him either. He can't remember any of what he did to win it. He blanked out on the way I blanked out on my whole past. Dad shrugs. Even if you can't remember it, it still happened. I loved the kid you used to be. I start to protest, and he holds up a hand. Let me finish. Just because I miss the old Chase doesn't mean I don't appreciate who you are now. I'm not blind. I see the bond you have with Helene. You think that would have been possible before your accident? I thought you considered that kind of stuff weakness, Dad. Dad reddens. I just didn't know the new you yet. Takes strength to eat the blame and not rat out Aaron and Bear, especially when they more than deserve it. Or to try to make things right with Mr. Sawway or even the Weber kid, whether they appreciate it or not. You're strong. You're strong. And stupid. But everybody has stupid moments, son. The trick is not to let a few bad moments cost you the game. All right. That was great of Dad. Dad's a schmuck, but that was pretty good. That was good. There's something in his expression that I've never noticed before. It was probably there a lot before the accident, but this is the first time I actually see it. I see pride. My father's proud of me, which is going to be worth exactly 0 in front of the judge. All right, well, I don't think I would ever be friends with his father, but that was pretty awesome, what his father just said. Time jump. As I step through the metal detector at the courthouse over there, I freeze. I've been here before, and the memory comes flooding back. Move it along, son, the security guard says. Plenty of people in line behind you. Oh, right, sorry. I stumble forward to make room for Mom, Johnny, Dad, and Mr. Landau, our lawyer. I must look a little shaky because my brother whispers, "Hang in there, kid." I nod, wrapped up in my latest flashback. Arriving in this very building with Aaron and Bear and our families.
Sorry.
That's okay. What I remember the most is my anger, my outrage that the 3 of us were being hauled into court for booby-trapping Joel's piano. I was mad at everybody, Joel, the Webers, the school, the police. Didn't they know who I was? Chase Ambrose, MVP of the state championship game. We ruled that school. Whatever we did was okay just because it was us who did it. Yeah, I was mad. I can practically feel the heat of my rage radiating through the memory. And unfortunately, that's how bullies are. That's how some people are. They do something. They do something bad. Little bit bad, big time bad. They get mad at everyone. They get mad because they got caught. They get mad at the people who caught them. They get mad at the victims that they victimized. They get mad at everybody except the one person they should be mad at. Themselves, right? Now see, that's where Chase is different now. What a difference a few months make. Back then, I had such a high opinion of the great Chase Ambrose that I considered myself untouchable. Now, it's the opposite. I hate myself so much that there's no way any judge could hate me more. That's why Mr. Landau has been so frustrated with me. How can you create a defense for someone who won't defend himself? It's not that I want to get sent to juvie. I don't. But I'm 100% guilty. I did it. I took the medal. I hid the medal, and if I'd been my old self, I would have sold the medal and pocketed that money. There it is, my whole case right there. That's probably why Mr. Landau's betting everything on character witnesses, because I refuse to say anything on my own behalf. I hear my mom drawing a tumultuous breath as we enter the courtroom. My dad puts an arm around my shoulders. Believe it or not, I don't even shrug it off. Right now, I need all the support I can get. When I take my first look around, I almost lose it. This guy with the motorcycle, he gets on the motorcycle and he rides up and down this road like 10 times. He doesn't go anywhere. He just rides up and down on that loud motorcycle. Oof. When I take my first look around, I almost lose it. Everybody's here. Brendan and Kimmy sitting with the video club along with a lot of kids from school. I see Coach Davenport and a group of football players, Joey and Landon and some others. Miss DeLeo is there too, along with several of my teachers. And in the front row, I'm shocked to find Shoshana, Joel, and their parents. Shoshana catches me looking at her and quickly turns her head away. I'm blown away. I already know I'm not the most popular guy at Hiawassee, but the fact that so many people despise me so much that they take time out of their day to come and watch me get sentenced to juvie, that's the most painful thing. Now, I'm going to ask you, do you really think all those people are there to sit and laugh at him while he gets sentenced to juvenile detention, to be sent to kid jail? I don't think they're there for that either. I think they're there to support him. I think they've all seen the changes that have come about with Chase Ambrose. I think they're there to support him. I don't think they're there to gloat and like an angry mob. All that's missing is the stocks, so the angry mob can throw rotten vegetables at me. You know, the stocks. In the old days, people used to put them in a wooden thing and their heads stick out and they throw vegetables at their head. Judge Garfinkel comes in and spends a few minutes reviewing the case while I sit there and stew. Oh, I remember now. He turns his sharp gaze on me. Young man, I told you that if ever I saw you in my courtroom again, things would go very hard on you. What do you have to say for yourself? Mr. Landau starts to get up, and while he's buttoning his jacket, I reply, nothing, Your Honor. I don't remember why I stole Mr. Solway's medal. I wouldn't do it today, but I definitely did it then. The judge nods gravely. I appreciate your honesty. You're making my job easier, if not more pleasant. I have some character witnesses who would like to be heard, Mr. Landau announces, if it pleases the court. Judge Garfinkel sighs. Proceed. Mom goes first, dripping enough tears to wrap the wood of the witness stand, to warp the wood, sorry. Her main message is what a difficult child I used to be and how much I've changed since my accident. She spends a lot of time talking about how seriously injured I was and how long I was unconscious. This comes from Mr. Landau's careful coaching, but Judge Garfinkel looks about as easy to persuade as one of those giant stone heads on Easter Island. Dad is next, and I'm amazed at some of the things he says. I thought all he cared about was that I'm a chip off the old block, but he only mentions football once. What kid doesn't act like he's got it all figured out when at Chase's age? Even so, getting to know my son the way he is now, I almost wish someone had pushed me off a roof when I was 13. All right, I'm liking Dad now. I'm stunned. The very best part of my father's 48 years was the time he spent in middle school and high school. He considers himself to have been the ultimate athlete, hot shot, and big man on campus. He has never, not once, allowed for even the remotest possibility that his youth was anything less than perfect. Till today, when he thought it might help me Dr. Cooperman comes up to confirm that my head trauma was as serious as we say it was. Enough to bring on amnesia and enough to cause a personality change. Judge Garfinkel frowns, and the personality change is permanent. It's impossible to tell, the doctor admits. In many ways, we know more about outer space than we do about innermost workings of the human brain. But there's every reason to believe that Chase is a new person. As Dr. Cooperman steps down, the bailiff reads the name of the next character witness, Shoshana Weber. What? I'm frozen in my chair. That has to be a mistake. But no, there's Shoshana. She's gotten up. She's heading to the stand. I tug on Mr. Landau's sleeve. No, yes, this character witness, she thinks I'm a subhuman garbage. She's still avoiding eye contact with me, but there's an intense expression on her face. She's a girl on a mission, and I know exactly what that mission is, to bury me. She doesn't say anything. She just sits there, steam building inside her like a boiler ready to explode. Not good. Oh, this is so not good, I say to myself. Miss Weber, prompts the judge. I know Chase is guilty, she begins. He's guilty of a lot of things, but he's done a lot of good things, too. He's trying, even if he isn't always succeeding. Judge Garfinkel clears his throat. Young lady, the purpose of a character witness is to vouch for character, not to point out faults. I was getting to that, she tells him. The big question is, what kind of person is Chase going to be now? He gave the medal back. That's a plus. But there are minuses too, like at school when he lied to cover up for his old friends. But I'm not saying that to make him look bad. I'm trying to give you a totally fair picture of Chase today. Thanks to falling off that roof, he's been given a chance to restart his life. Maybe it hasn't been perfect. She struggles for the right words. I'm silently pulling for her not to find them. I'm grateful that she doesn't seem to hate me as much as before, but this isn't helping. And, the judge asks, yes, more? And? I was harder on Chase than anyone else, she explains. And if some of that was justified, it was. Some of it was justified and some of it wasn't. I guess what I mean is, if I have faith that he's going to turn out okay, you can take that to the bank. And I'm amazed to say this, but I just know he'll be a good person. Huh? Chase says to himself. I know we're in Chase's head. I keep adding these things. I want to make sure you're knowing who's saying huh. It wasn't the kind of testimonial Mr. Landau was hoping for, but it was absolute honesty. For sure, I wasn't expecting to hear the words good person coming from Shoshana, not when she was talking about me. Don't get me wrong, if the Webers forgive me, that would be a humongous weight lifted off my shoulders. Mostly, though, right now I'm just confused. This isn't going at all the way I expected. That's admirable of you to say, Ms. Weber, Judge Garfinkel comments from the bench. But that isn't what this hearing is about. Chase is Chase is charged with the theft of a medal of honor belonging to Mr. Julius Solway, which nobody denies happened, not even Chase himself. But don't you see, she pleads, if I can misjudge him, anybody can, even a judge. Thank you for your testimony, he tells Shoshana. Let's move along. Would somebody else here like to say something on behalf of this young man? The chorus of squeaking chairs, backs, and shuffling feet is louder than it should be. That's when I realize that every single person in the gallery has gotten up. They cross the courtroom in the direction of the witness stand, kids, teachers, and parents alike. The only occupied seats belong to my family and Mr. Landau. Everybody else is in line in front of the bewildered bailiff. Video club kids I know I pushed around in the past, teachers whose classes I used to disrupt, football players who thought I deserted them, even Joel and his parents. I stare at them, practically everyone I know waiting their turn to support the bully who deserves no support at all. They nod encouragingly at me, wave, flash me thumbs up. The picture doesn't last long. My eyes fill with tears and it's all a blur. I was afraid I might cry at some point during the hearing, but not because of this. This is something I couldn't have imagined in a million years. I bite down on the side of my mouth hard, and my vision clears a little. From the bench, Judge Garfinkel gazes at the milling crowd. Sorry. All right, I get it. He turns to me. This is impressive, and I don't deny that you must have completed an incredible turnaround. But a serious crime has been committed here, and not a first offense either. Chase, can you guarantee that you are no longer the same person who stole Mr. Salway's medal? I sense salvation so close I can almost reach out and squeeze it. All I have to do is say yes, and I'm off the hook. It's a happier ending than I could ever have dreamed of, far happier than I have any right to expect. And yet, how do I know I'm 100% different? As the memories continue to trickle back, it's pretty clear that the old me and the new me aren't two separate chases. Can I really claim to be no longer the same person? Of course, that wouldn't stop me from telling the judge what he wants to hear. It's what the old Chase would do. Take the easy way out, like that time in Dr. Fitzwallace's office. Lie, cheat, say anything to beat the rap. I'd be proving that I haven't changed a bit. Okay, Judge Garfinkel will never know the difference, but I will. And in an instant, I understand that being true to myself is more important than fooling the judge with the power to send me to juvie. I shake my head sadly. I'm sorry, Your Honor, but I can't make that guarantee. I feel different. I have no urge to do things I used to do, but the person who stole the medal was inside me once. I can't promise that he's gone forever. There's almost a wind in the courtroom, all the people deflating at the same time. Shoshana, Joel, Brendan, my parents. Judge Garfinkel lets out a heavy breath. Well, in that case, Chase Ambrose, you've left me no choice. It is the decision of this court that you be remanded to the juvenile authorities. Now hold on just one cotton-picking minute. Any idea who this might be? In the excitement, nobody noticed that the courtroom doors have been flung wide. In shuffles, Mr. Julius Salway, war hero, struggling behind his walker, appears. Around his neck is the only suit, is the gold medal of honor, freshly polished and gleaming. The look in his blazing eyes plainly says he intends to take the whole world on and win. That gets the judge's attention. I assume you're addressing Mr. Salway. Please take a seat, sir. No, I'm not going to take a seat, Mr. Salway replies belligerently. All this ruckus over a stupid medal? Well, here it is, with its rightful owner. Case closed. Now let's all go home. It's taco night at Portland Street. The judge is respectful but firm. It doesn't work that way, Mr. Salway. Crime has been committed here, even if it now has a satisfactory ending. What crime? Mr. Salway challenges. Chase didn't steal my medal. I loaned it to him. I jump up. Mr. Salway, don't. What do you know about it? The old soldier roars at me. You fell on your head and lost your memory. Who are you going to believe, Judge? The fellow who remembers or the fellow who won't, who doesn't? Judge Garfinkel frowns. This may be juvenile court, but it's still a court of law. We deal in the truth and only the truth. The truth is this is a good kid. How many people do you have to hear it from? Mr. Saway indicates the lineup in front of the witness stand. I'd trust him with my medal any time. Why wouldn't I? Mr. Landau steps forward eagerly. I believe Mr. Saway has introduced reasonable doubt. The judge snorts a laugh at him. Watch it, counselor. I'm not an idiot, you know. His harsh expression softens. However, in light of the incredible show of community support, plus the testimony of a decorated veteran, I'm going to dismiss the charge against Chase Ambrose. And he looks me straight in the eye. Don't prove me wrong. I breathe. And I realize breathing is something I haven't been doing since Mr. Saway came shuffling through the door. An enormous cheer goes up in the courtroom. I'm hugged and kissed and high-fived. My hand is pumped to the point where my elbow is jelly. My back is pounded until Dr. Cooperman warns about internal injuries. The football players carry me around on their shoulders. Coach Davenport complains that he hasn't seen this much team spirit all season. There, high above me, celebrating supporters, I experience another flashback. It's the state championship from last season, and this is our on-field victory dance. My teammates hoisting the newly crowned MVP up in the air. I slap myself in the face to dispel the memory before I spot Aaron and Bear and spoil it. I'm feeling so many things at the same time. I'm relieved, obviously, but it's also strange to owe so many people such a debt of gratitude. Back on the floor, I say thank you over and over again until my lips and tongue go numb. And when the crowd finally begins to thin out, I realize that the last person embracing me isn't my mother. It's Shoshana. We jump apart, but Joe is already standing there, pointing and laughing. I guess he's not going in the wood chipper after all, he says to his sister. I look at her questioningly. She turns bright red and mumbles, "See you at school tomorrow." And she starts to walk away and then turns and echoes Judge Garfinkel's parting words, "Chase, don't prove me wrong." Come to think of it, Shoshana would make a pretty good judge. She'd make an even better jury and executioner. I wouldn't want her any other way. When the Webbers leave, I'm down to my last thank you, and this one's the most important. Can you guess who he's been waiting for the most important thank you? Can you guess who it's for? Mr. Saway has established himself in the front row of the gallery, and he's scowling at me. You know, kid, you'd make a lousy lawyer. You almost blew it up there. Mr. Saway, you know you didn't lend me that medal. And he shrugs expansively. I would have. Besides, you have amnesia. I'm old. Who remembers? But think where you'd be if I hadn't been able to get a lift over here. Think about it. Thank you so much. I quaver, thinking about how hard it is for him to get around. Don't thank me. Thank her. And he motions to the back of the courtroom. And there by the door stands Corinne. One hand holds on to Helene, the other to the keys of her van, and she's beaming at me. It's funny. When I woke up in the hospital at the end of the summer, I didn't even know myself, much less anybody else. I hope I never again experience a feeling that lonely. But today, with my entire future at stake, I wasn't alone. The Chase Ambrose I used to be never would have assembled such support. Mom and Dad and Johnny, probably Aaron and Bear, who have to be worse than anybody, worse than nobody as character witnesses. Maybe a few more teammates out of obligation. That would have been the sum total of my cheering section. Can you imagine? Like he said, the only people who would have been there, if this hadn't happened, if he hadn't fallen on his head, would have been Aaron and Bear, maybe. mom and dad, and that's about it. I follow my family out onto the steps of the courthouse and take a tremulous lungful of free air. How many people ever get to do over a life? Falling on my head was the best thing that ever happened to me. Now, that sounds like an ending. It sounds like an ending. You know, every book begins with a problem and it ends with a solution. But we do have one more chapter. The chapter is Brendan Espinosa. And I must tell you, I'm going to read it. I want to be done with this. I don't want to be done with this. I want to see. I want it to get to its ending. I want to get to that place that we've all been working towards. Brendan Espinosa, chapter 30. It has to be the most incredible transformation in the history of middle school. No, not Chase Ambrose going from thug, bully, sociopath to human being, although surely that's in the top 10. I'm talking about the fact that Kimberly likes me now. I swear, I'm black and blue from pinching myself to make sure I'm not dreaming, but it's 100% legit. I even call her Kimmy. It's like a pet name. Nobody else calls her that. And if that's not the real thing, I don't know what is. It was the big fight at Portland Street that did it. When Kimmy saw me sacrificing myself and getting the snot knocked out of me, trying to protect her from Aaron and Bear, that put it over the top. I was like the knight in shining armor. Although Kimmy says it was mostly because she was so amazed I wasn't dead. Whatever. Before this, she had trouble remembering my name. Anyway, a bruised jaw is a small price to pay for a girlfriend, especially the most mad, awesome one in all of Hiawassee. I'm not even worried that she might go back to her old crush, like, Chase. It looks like Chase and Shoshana might be starting to turn into something themselves. Not that I'm planning double dates with them anytime soon. No sense in playing with fire. Chase played his first football game of the season last week and really tore it up, scoring 3 touchdowns and gaining 180 yards. Shoshana annoyed the crowd by standing in the middle of the bleachers and delivering a long speech about how she isn't a football fan and never intends to become one. Maybe, maybe not. After all, people change. Look at Chase himself, or Kimmy, or the video club. We know less than zero about football, but we got some amazing footage of the game. Coach Davenport liked it so much that he made us the Hurricanes' official videographers. The Pep Squad has a new student musical director too, Joel Weber. The players are kind of nice to us now. Well, most of them anyway. Aaron and Bear are still their usual Neanderthal selves. Then again, everything that happened pretty much exposed those two as the bullies and delinquents that they are. Who cares about them anyway? They're kind of outcasts now. Chase says even the other Hurricanes pretty much ignore them. Not that those two being losers was ever a newsflash to me. Chase is back in the video club where he belongs. In fact, he's a bigger star there than on the football team. The word just came in that Warrior took first place in the National Video Journalism Contest. Chase is the sole winner since Shoshana removed her name from the project when she thought he attacked Joel. Ms. DeLeo is trying to get that fixed. The Vidiots have adopted Mr. Salway as their official mascot. We wanted to make him our official war hero, but he objects to the word hero. He's not too crazy about the war part either. Well, he may not let us call him our hero, but he's definitely my hero because of what he did in court for Chase that day. But of course, he was a hero long before any of us were born. The United States Army was so convinced of it that they awarded him their very highest medal. Sorry for the coughing. Just don't try to ask him about it. I can't remember anything, kid, so don't bug me, he barks in his best crabby old man voice. Talk to Chase. He'll tell you what it's like to be blank about stuff. Actually, Chase is recalling more and more these days. He's still got a long way to go before his amnesia is totally cured, but every now and then I'll see him in the school halls, gray in the face and haunted. And I know he's just remembered some horrible thing he did in his former life. Poor guy. Maybe one day he'll get used to it and it won't bother him so much, but I'm not holding my breath. I always thought the purpose of Video Club was to create something so off the chain that it goes viral and makes you famous. But that's not the point at all. The best thing about Video Club is the people you discover along the way. Like Mr. Salway or Kimmy, who probably never would have noticed me otherwise. Or Chase, who I spent 3/4 of my life being afraid of, and is now one of my best friends. Which doesn't mean that you have to give up on the viral part. Kimmy took my raw footage of One Man Band and edited out everything except the part where I'm trapped in the tuba, being shot with a fire extinguisher foam. And then she posted it on YouTube under the title, Worst Tuba Fail Ever, and it's already been viewed 360,000 times. Unbelievable! I have a viral video. Well, technically it's Kimmy's video since she posted it on her account and never mentioned my name, not even once. I'm just a doofus in the tuba, wriggling like a hula dancer and foaming at the mouth, but it still counts. It proves anything is possible. Kimmy and me, a YouTube sensation, even Chase Ambrose turning out to be a nice guy. And that's the end of this book. What an amazing ride. What a great story. What a great message. Anything is possible. What a great theme for this book. There are many that can be applied, but anything is possible. Anything is possible. Chase, in that school, if I had a choice, I would have been friends with Chase. I would have been friends with Brendan. I would have been one of the Vidiots. I definitely would have. When I was in school, I remember I had friends everywhere, just not in cliques, you know. There were jocks, and there were this, art people, and there were theater people, and there was whatever. I had friends everywhere. And I think that's important. That's what you have to do. You know, you need to get around. You need to circulate. You need to get all kinds of people in your life. And you need to be accepting and kind and giving and helpful. And I think that's what happened with Chase. He luckily found people who had his back, who really had his back. And anyway, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you did too. So that's the end of this book. I don't know what I'm going to read next. We'll see. Take care of yourselves. If any of you stayed with me through all 30 chapters, thank you from the bottom of my heart, coming and enjoying it. Even old Mr. Max fumbling over words, calling Mr. Salway, Mr. Sloven, and whatever. So take care of yourselves. I wish you all the best. Stay safe. Stay well. Stay masked when you go out. Keep your hands away from your eyes, nose, and mouth. And I wish you all the best. Bye-bye.